Good evening, family. Here we are again on a Friday night, and you're tuned into the Journey 2020. We like to say, as part of our theme, that the journey is from me to you and from you to me. And as we start off today, we've got a distinguished panel of guests. And as we said last week, we're going to be doing part two to this is National Alcohol and Drug Addictions Recovery Month. We are going to be doing part two of the presentation that we did last week. And as we have myself here, Dr. John Robertson, we also have our technical guru and the person that backs me up even though when I don't need backing up, and that is our co-host, Charles Morris. Charles?
Well, thank you, Dr. Robinson. Happy to be here. And, you know, like last week, we had a chance to talk to some friends, and now meeting new friends.
All right.
And we will continue to talk about some of the problems that we have with abuse and substance abuse and alcohol. But also, there's a big day for you tomorrow. I know you're going to get a chance to talk about that. And I'm trying to remember how long it's been since I was first involved with you doing the recovery walk.
Right.
And I'm asking you, how long ago was that?
Okay, listen, I'll help younger folks than me and remind you. And that is 7 years. Yeah, yeah, this is the seventh. Yeah.
Okay, like always, my job is to sit back and I'm going to enjoy, and I know I'm going to learn something today. So,
well, family, I've got to tell you, you know, every time Charles says he's going to sit back and enjoy, you know, and I think you all have gotten, those of you who have watched the show enough, that Charles is definitely not a sit-back kind of guy. And I really appreciate his not sitting back when he asks those questions.
Right.
And tonight, again, as I said, we've got we believe is an exciting show with three panelists who I also regard as colleagues and friends. And to my left, the gentleman that is sitting there looking very scholarly is Ron Green. And Ron is the founder and director of the Life Changes Institute. And he'll tell you a little bit more about Life Changes Institute in a bit. He also is a proud member of Pastor Reva Tim's Majestic Life Ministries. And he'll also mention that a little bit later on. In the middle is Dr., and I want to say that again, Dr. Nicole Murray. And Dr. Nicole is a recent graduate of the Latin American School of Medicine. She specializes in family medicine and interestingly did her training in Havana, Cuba. But so, although some of you may say, well, is she Cuban? She actually describes herself as a Jersey girl. So knowing that she is homegrown and has gotten her education and has come back and is very active in the community, trying to make a change and make a difference. And so again, welcome.
Someone who speaks 5 languages.
Okay. All right. Very good. And then beside her is Susan Heiskell. And Susan, who I've known over probably 6 or more years, yeah. And we actually met at a recovery walk in Lake Eola here in Orlando. And Susan is the manager of HIV services for the Center for Drug-Free Living. And she'll mention a bit more about what she does and perhaps why she does what she does a little bit later on. But in starting our program, I'd like to ask our panelists, and anyone can start, this whole thing with alcohol and drug treatment and recovery, many people say that that's a waste of money, that it's a waste of time, and why should we bother to spend money, time, and effort on alcohol treatment and recovery? And does anybody want to take that on?
Well, I'll be glad to just first, you know, I'd like to meet that person that, or those people that say that, because recovery's real. It's real for people who want to make a change in their life, want to make a difference in their life, for whatever reason they got involved in drugs to begin with. And the reasons are many. It's not one reason. It's not, because you just picked up a drug one day and never stopped. Many reasons why people get involved in drugs and alcohol, but the idea of getting past that and living a life of recovery is so very real. That's why we're all doing what we're doing while we do the recovery walk, because we've seen people who actually are in recovery, and we know that it's not just a pipe dream or a goal that's unattainable, and it changes people's lives when they can go from a place that is dark and not good to a place where they're living their life the way they feel like they should be.
Okay.
I back you up on that too.
Okay.
Recovery
Well,
is real.
I'm going to challenge the panel a little bit. I've heard a number of individuals say, well, these people go into rehab, and that's the famous word, rehab, and they spend 30 days, in getting good food and, getting to sleep and all kind of medicine and attention, and then they go out and they do the same thing over and over again. So what's the point?
Well, because of the cunningness of the addiction itself.
Okay. Ron, you want to take a mic? Because you've got. Okay, I'm sorry.
The cunningness of the addiction itself, I guess it tells us out loud you can't slick a can of oil. It has tricks. It's ancient. People have been challenged with addictions since day one, and when we're still trying to understand the extremes of addiction itself, the trickery in it, dealing with the myths, starting with the myths. People think that they can't recover, and some of us who have recovered, we know that there's a chance for everyone to see recovery and some success in being rehabilitated. My challenges were real rough, and I can understand why people are so scared to actually go into recovery, because they don't want to face the truth about it. It takes work. So there is hope.
But let me ask you this question. Part of what we talked about last week, when you talk about facing, because we have problems with facing life, and that's just part of our personalities, part of being a human being, part of whatever it is that makes us who we are, whatever we conjure up in our minds. And so I have a doctor here, and I have a doctor here, and a doctor here. So part of the escape, of trying to escape whatever it is that we're trying to escape, is part of why it's part of the addiction, because we're looking for a way out to deal with whatever it is the shortcomings are. So we are built to want to feel good. We are built to want to feel that we're necessary. We're wired to say that I am somebody. So when all of that says, when society says, or whatever the surroundings are saying, that I am no one, and I'm part of the dysfunction that someone didn't tell me or nurtured me in a way to help me realize who I am and what God made me, is that more likely of why we do what we do? So I know that's kind of like a wide open question, and it's different for every person, but that's part of the connection of our makeup. So I don't know if I just threw it too far out there.
Okay.
That's next week's show, Joel.
So asking you.
Well, the human mind is interesting, because we do want to escape to something simpler. So, for example, we're going to take the patient and put them in a recovery center. Everything is going to seem happy, everything is going to seem easy, but the problem is we put them back in the environment that began the problem, that gave them the no escape, and therefore they reach for the addictive substance. Could it be drugs or alcohol? And so as a person thinks, they always say they are, but as a person thinks, that's going to become their actions. And all their actions that they used to do are their habits.
Right.
And these habits are going to cause them to have certain characteristics. And these characteristics become their destiny. So we need to change that road that they're making for themselves through the recovery. But we have to change all aspects of it. So.
And that's why the recovery process isn't just about stopping using drugs. In fact, that's not recovery at all, just stopping. That's just a part of the whole scenario of moving on in a new direction in someone's life. So nowadays, substance abuse counseling is also a part, became part of mental health counseling and behavior modification, so that people can not just talk about, I'm going to stop using drugs, I'm going to stay off of a certain bus route or out of a certain neighborhood, but now it's more about, you know, reaching the inside of a person and helping them find out who they are, because for whatever reason they didn't get that. And you're really right on about that, Charles, because there was something that made them want to go to a medicine, you know, and unfortunately an illegal and a very harmful medicine, but something to maybe numb the pain. And so to move away from that's a big life changer, and to move towards a new type of life involves a lot of things, but it involves really getting to the core of who you are. And that's where mental health counseling, substance abuse, and addiction of any kind, because substance abuse addiction, if you stop drinking or taking drugs, you may go into another addiction. So it's really the core, is reaching the core of that person, and it's just not a simple fix either. It involves different modes of therapy that can be helpful the rest of someone's life.
Well, you said something that's very important, and we get into these discussions all the time in group settings among our peers, especially when we talk about, you know, relationships. And it's very easy to talk about the bad relationships that we've been through, a marriage or whatever. So normally when we're having the conversation, as they talk about this person that they don't like anymore, but yet you were in this relationship, and it's kind of like what you said, until you look at yourself and change yourself, more than likely you're going to go pick up another one of them.
Sure.
And that's part of what you're talking about, but it's so hard for us to understand what I just said. And understanding that you have to change yourself, your outlook on life, because in order for you to numb that pain, you got to deal with the pain and what's causing that, and how you see yourself and how you view yourself.
Exactly.
Did I do good, Dr. Robinson?
As I say, and you
beautiful.
notice I'm just here, you know, absorbing all of this. That's perfect. Yeah.
And it's
You're
what
right
we
on
all
the
do
money.
in life. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, this isn't new just for the substance abusing community. This isn't, you know, it's not an exclusive group struggling with this. We all struggle with things in our lives, and we struggle, you know, just to isolate in talking about addiction, we all have addictions. We just may not have ones that are illegal and very harmful to our lives. I'm kind of a workaholic. Guys probably are too. So, you know, that in itself can bring on some issues, but it isn't illegal. At least we're not going to admit that here. But
Right. That's it.
but you know what I mean.
Right. But it can be unhealthy, as we know, and so part of the thing that is important as we talk about recovery. One of the things that I like in working with individuals is talking about creating balance in their lives. To be able to have some sense of a balance between taking care of themselves physically, taking care of themselves emotionally, taking care of themselves in terms of family, you know, and community, and taking care of themselves spiritually.
Yes.
And I like that we have Ron here with us, because a lot of your work, Ron, I believe has centered around that not only the stopping the individual drinking or drugging or whatever, but taking that deeper look, that spiritual look at the person.
Yeah. Well, I can go back as far as the beginning of my addiction. It's pride. A lot of pride. Dealing with the character of pride got me to the point to where I almost self-destruct. Yeah, that was something hard to break, because I knew that I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do at that time. That was to have fun. I didn't know I was running into a trap. And that's what it happened. It happened about, the age of 7, you know, and carried on to what, the age of maybe 40.
Well, let me stop you. You actually started drinking or using substances at the age
No,
of 7?
I actually started selling drugs in the schools of San Jose at the age of 7.
Okay.
Selling drugs and gangbanging, coming up in California. That's when my addiction started, with the money.
Okay.
You know, as hustling. That carried on into drug use, you know. And you get to making money, you get a pride about yourself. I can do this. I can do that. I got this here on the table, and just giving you a little something about my perspective and how it happened with me into my addiction. It was pride. I thought that I was untouchable. Started out with selling weed, a little drink here and there, but my main thing was getting money. Now they got this saying in the community this day, getting money. But most of them get money by using alcohol and marijuana and think it's okay. But from what I discovered, that they find themselves in the same trap I found myself in. They're taking mollies now. And they're getting stuck on the mollies, and the mollies taking them somewhere else. Within the 10 years of observing the drug use from the community, and it was pride that carried me on into snorting cocaine, lacing the cocaine with the weed, and then to what, smoking crack cocaine, ultimately. And this was like a 30-year process with me, with drugs, alcohol, and it was a lot of pride because I didn't know what I was doing until I was stopped in my tracks by myself. When I saw myself facing myself, like, wow, I'm facing some time now. I'm in a situation that I can't stop by myself, you know, unless I really see what's going on with me. Something that's taking control over me.
Let me ask you a question, because you said something that is kind of rare to me, because I mean I haven't worked and talked with people with addictions to the level of the professional people here, but when you said something that you looked at yourself, because that's a key, because there's a lot of people that don't reach that, which is amazing. And could you just kind of talk about why you think that was and why you were able to get to that point to look at yourself, because that's a key point in you understanding the steps that you needed to take?
Well, I've been in and out of rehabs, and when I discovered I had an issue, in and out of rehabs, and all I learned was physical allergy, mental obsession. But I was also a user that would pray. I would pray, constantly pray. And I guess my contact with something greater than me found me looking at who I really was in the mirror. Had me facing the issues that I had put myself into. Understanding that, hey man, I had a mental obsession, I had physical allergy, you know, I found myself itching and stuff. Then I also had myself thinking that I need to get high today. But then until I learned that it was a spiritual connection that had a relationship with my addiction, I didn't understand what I was in. I looked in the mirror one day and I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. If you understand what I'm saying, it was something more.
We're with you, Brother Rob.
Yeah, it was something more that got my attention than just going to the rehabs, and I started crying out for some more help. And until I heard that voice say, "Look in the mirror and look what you're facing, look what you're doing." And this, after, can I just share some things?
Definitely.
After going through, some of you guys can relate with me. I got shot 4 times. After in and out of jail, I got about 50 pictures in Orange County, Seminole County, Brevard County, Volusia County, alone, and from Louisiana, of myself. I shot somebody in the face. That was the ultimate. God brought me through all of this. I lost my mouth for cancer. all these issues occurred. It took all of this to make me actually look in the mirror about 2 years ago. And I was in 39th Street in Nash, Orlando, Florida, one of the roughest streets in Central Florida. I looked after I had an incident where I shot the guy in the face. It was an accident. I got on my knees. I said, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. And I looked in the mirror and I saw something I ain't like. That was the ultimate. That was the ultimate. When I asked the good Lord to help me, I had to face myself. I had to face some issues in order to come out of what I came out of. I found myself one day in all white one Sunday morning after I asked him to help me, hold me, and love me, take me out of what I was going through. After going through all of these trials and tribulations in Central Florida alone, God showed me something I wouldn't want to be. Now, I thought I was facing some attempt murder charges. I thought I was facing armed robbery, burglary charges, possession charges, stolen vehicle charges. And at this moment, this is what all I was doing over 2 years, 2.5 years ago, I think, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, before I came to this panel. I was in the mirror after that incident. And I asked God to hold me, love me. One morning, I woke up one Sunday morning, and I found myself taking a shower on OBT in boxer drawers with a water hose, happy and peace, singing. And I couldn't do it no more. I was always looking in the mirror. Wow, I'm finna change. And that night, make a long story short, that night, I was looking at myself, looking to see whether I was still white because I tried to smoke. I tried to drink. None of it agreed with me at all. And I was still looking at myself. Wow, I'm about to get out of this. That's what I kept saying to myself at this particular moment. And usually, if I see the police, I would run. I would hit it on it. For me to run the police was like fun. This moment, everybody was like, Red Man, what you doing? What you doing? I said, I'm okay. So police came after handcuffing a few people that they caught using drugs. I'm sitting there, and they was like, wow, you still here, man? You know you want it. I said, man, I'm okay, man. But you're right, why am I still here? And I started looking at myself again. I realized I had on white still, and I'm still clean. Everybody around me getting high. And police came over. I gave him a fake name. And he knew the name didn't even sound right. He said, that don't even sound right like you. I said, I know it don't. Just go on and check my name. You know, and I wanted to give up. Came back with my name, and the police officer said, Mr. Green, you only had a technical violation. And I started breaking down crying, and I knew my prayers was answered that day. And then when the police officer put me in handcuffs, to make this short story short, I looked into the mirror and make sure I was still in the mirror because I couldn't believe that it was. I said, you sure that's me? And he said, yeah, you, technical violation. I said, you sure? Ronald Allen Green with the E at the end? Check, double check. I said, don't even worry about it. Let's go to jail. So I started crying right there with everybody. I told everybody bye. I was looking. The stolen truck that I had was right there. Everything, drugs was in the truck. I was like, well, everything's behind me. I left everything behind me. And I was so happy this night. And that's when I looked in the mirror. Again, I was looking at who I really wanted to be, somebody set free from that. And I've been going strong right now for about 2 years. 2 years. I think this happened over 2.5 years ago. And you guys, this is amazing. It's amazing that I'm telling this story right now. My judge happened to be Jim Zimmerman's judge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same judge. Miss, wow, how can I?
We know who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not gonna, but anyway.
And she don't play.
Yeah, she don't play. But anyway, I was so happy to go to jail when I got to jail. I said, I want to do my time, y'all. I want to do time. That's all I told her. I said, I don't care. The next day, this happened so quick. Usually I'll be ready to go. Something was so different about me this time. And I was always looking in the mirror, like, you know, looking at a different person. And I got in front of the judge. I got in front of my probation, my public defender. I said, man, tell him give me some time. I'm ready to do this time, get this over with. So I was so happy because I knew I was set free. The judge told me, no, we got to put you on probation, Mr. Green. I never did probation in 30 years. They would let me out, and I would always not show up and hit the streets again. Do the same thing over and over again. So I started wondering, wow, this is my time. This is my time for change. This is my time to be loved. This is my time to love. And I saw myself again looking at myself about what I wanted to be. Now, that was almost 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or 2.5 years ago. You guys got to bear with me.
That's all right.
I had cancer, too. So I'm a cancer survivor as well.
All right.
I lost my mouth, so.
Okay.
Yeah. And it brings me to this point right here. I went to Dr. Ivy Hillier School of Ministry, graduated in 98, and I was told to actually go to ministry school. I didn't. He gave me the program, Life Change Institute, to bring it down here and establish it. But within those 4 years, I had some little issues in and out, you know, back and forth and stuff like that. But for the last 2 years, for the most part, I saw myself looking at myself and seeing something that I wanted to be and have somebody different than what I was doing. Because when I was in my addiction in the neighborhood, I was terrorized, and I was doing a lot of damage, not only to me, but to everybody that was around me that had some kind of connections to me. So,
let me ask you something. Everything you just said, how did you look at yourself when you thought of your mother and how she saw you, or how you thought the feeling she had towards the son that you had become? How did you look at that?
I had a spiritual ride in my addiction. I felt like if I was doing all of this stuff, I was doing it to my family, and I didn't understand it. But I would continue to do it. That was the chaos about my addiction. I just knew I was hurting them, but I couldn't stop it. My mama, when I was around her, she would be more stronger, more healthier, and more happier. When I was around her, even if I was sick, or, you know, lost some weight and just looking crazy, she would be happy when I was around her. But without her, when I was in the streets or in my addiction strong, she would be sick, and I got those reports from my family. And when I saw her, I did a lot of crying. I felt a lot of stuff was coming to me. But one thing I had when I was coming out of it was a strong desire and a will to be free and stay free, and it was by any means necessary. I said, before I go back out there, the devil gonna have to kill me. There's something gonna have to kill me. Whatever it was, if it was mentally, I would go crazy, or if it was physically, I would just die sick, or whatever it was, I would not go into my addiction again. And just thinking about my mama, thinking about my daughter, thinking about my sister, and good friends like Dr. Murray, and just people that actually treated me nice, even on my treatment committee panel, in my men's group, at church. I would think about the love that they showed me while I was back, and that would keep me stronger. And I just thank God for that. I think that's love. And it's nothing emotional about it. It's real. And if you have it, it'll make some changes about you and what you wanted to do in life. So I had a lot of dreams when I was young, and my addiction took all of that away from me. So I'm back, and you know, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So I'm just standing back, holding my position.
All right. You know, Ron, as I was listening to you, the several things came up, but as you talked about looking in the mirror, I think that is something that for most of us, that it's hard to look in that mirror and really see what some of the things that we really don't want to see. But it sounds also to me, and I've heard this happen to so many people that I've worked with, and that is that sense of an awakening. Many people would call it a spiritual
Spiritual
awakening,
awakening. Yes.
a change that occurs, and I think that is so important. But many people who don't know addiction and don't know recovery would say, well, all you've got to do is use willpower. Okay? That willpower is a thing that we all have, and all you have to have is enough of it to get over. And one of the things, and I'd like to get Dr. Nicole's thought on this, that there's one side of the argument that says, well, anybody that wants to stop, can stop at any time. Okay? And another side says addiction is a disease, that it literally it is a dis-ease, that something is out of kilter, something is wrong, that something is in pain, about us. And I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Is willpower the thing that will get people out of recovery or out of addictions?
I believe that each case is different. Some people have different reasons to have started the addiction, have been involved in different environments. They've done a lot of studies with twins, for that matter, to see if they change their environment and if it is just willpower that gives them that hope. So, in Ron's case, he needed hope, but he also needed someone to tell him that it was going to be okay. And I've seen cases where the patient obviously before the addiction had mental issues, and those mental issues could have been passed to them genetically. So in theory, they have a disease because that was passed on to them. Now, can we still help them even though they have a disease per se? I believe that with the combination of willpower, of course, we can help them as long as they do find that mirror that you are referring to. Find it, but they have to look for it, and they have to look in it. Because it's one thing for someone to have help right there, and it's another thing to have the ability to reach out and grab it. So hopefully I answered what you were thinking. I've seen many different cases for both aspects.
Okay. One of the things I'd like to ask Susan, Susan, you work with a very challenging population of individuals who are HIV positive. And many people say, well, again, that to put such effort, into working with that population, and again, if they are substance abusing, aren't they just trying to kill themselves? And why should we really care? Why should we make a difference or give them the time and the attention, etc.? What would you say to that?
Well, HIV is it's a chronic manageable disease now. And that's progressed over the years, and I know Dr. Murray could speak to that even better than I could probably, but it's not a disease that you just automatically die with. The medications are awesome now, and people are living with HIV and living a very long time. So it's not ever to be looked at as treatment for someone who's dying. But even if it were looked at it that way, still, we don't know enough to ever stop trying to learn, trying to reach for hope, reach for, new things that can happen. The things that we learn and all of the opportunities that we take in life are unmeasurable. So to just look at the HIV population as a population that shouldn't have access to treatment would be, I think, an inhumane belief. And providing everybody should have the right to a quality life, quality of care, and because we don't know, we just don't have all the answers, then to provide someone with a disease that they live with often like diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer. It's in that similar category now. So, it's recovery based. It's still getting better, living your life, having families, doing the things that you want to do, going back to school, getting a job, all of those things. It's not about giving up at all. It's living life. And that's what we do with
And
our
hope.
clients every day. Absolutely. Hope, life, and just, getting back to the dreams. I love it when you said, you had dreams when you were young, and drugs, they kill all of that until you get back into that idea and hope again that you can move forward and that there are reasons to live and challenges to overcome, and that really just makes us stronger. So we don't give up on that.
In Cuba, they have a separate place where they put all the HIV positive patients. It's very interesting. They have a whole community. And there they have seminars and education so that they learn how to prevent the spread. And they learn how to actually find hope so that they want to live. And what's very interesting is after a certain period of time, they pass a series of exams. They are allowed to go back into society. And they continue their life. And in this country, most people don't want to tell everybody. Mm-hmm. Not that in Cuba they're telling everybody, but everybody in the community is aware. Mm-hmm. So in my situation as a family doctor, I'd have a community of about 2,000 people. I would live in a home where below was my office. Correct? And what I would do is I'd have a team of nurses, I'd have a team of specialty physicians, as well as students, and we would go actually into the community and find out what was wrong with each person. So if an elderly person cannot come to the hospital or they can't come to the clinic, we go to their home. And in doing that, I find we're preventing any problems. So we're seeing the environment, we're seeing if anybody is having an addiction problem or there's an HIV patient there. We're letting everybody aware of that and making sure that that person is doing what they promised. So that would be very difficult to implement.
Yeah, it's very
but
different.
it's very successful, and I barely see patients with HIV in the hospital. I'm very proud to say that, yeah.
So, Dr. Nicole, so in that model that Cuba follows, that it seems like the whole community is involved in the treatment of the individual.
Definitely.
And that's so different. And
That's powerful.
I don't get into comparing, Cuba with the U.S. because then we get into some politics.
No.
However, the sad reality in our country, in the U.S., is that only 16% of those individuals who have been diagnosed with a substance abuse problem or exhibit a substance abuse problem ever get into treatment.
That's true.
There are so many individuals that are not don't have access to treatment that we as society and the taxpayers wind up bearing the brunt of that. I understand that the SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, says that just in workforce losses that over $32 billion is lost in terms of lost time, lost wages, health costs, at times serious medical problems, etc., because of alcohol, and drugs. And so, in some ways, our placing alcohol and drug issues at a low priority is really biting us, I have to say, biting us in the butt. And often, because I talk to many individuals who, again, think that, as like HIV, that, they, whoever they is, did it to themselves. So if they did it to themselves, why should we, and the we being that large anonymous crowd, why should we pay for their errors in judgment, their bad habits, et cetera, et cetera. And I know that we all work in the field, but I'd like us to just again address the why of that, why treatment, and looking at it this way. Many times, not only is there cost, but often many individuals think that going into addictions treatment or even getting treated for HIV is a sign of personal failure, you know, a sign of personal weakness. And I'd just like to get the panel's thought and idea on that, because many individuals listening may be having a problem or know somebody with a problem, but really don't know what to do in terms of helping that person, or even more, may think themselves that the problem is, again, just a sign of weakness.
Well, there goes some more pride issues.
Okay.
Yeah, pride and a lot of fear. A lot of people are. I think society today is well,
Judgmental.
yeah, judgmental.
Yeah.
Judgmental. Yeah,
Let's be real.
And economically, they're putting the pressure on us as far as recovery specialists or people that are in recovery or professionals to actually counterattack what's causing addiction or a lot of conflicts. Drugstores on every corner. Drugs on every corner.
Okay.
Alcohol selling everywhere. So they're putting it into the community, they're putting it into society like it's the norm. And I don't think that we're actually applying enough pressure or authority or putting our voice out there as powerful as they are. If we make these statements and start with our youth, I mean, because some people caught in the process of understanding this mental obsession, like I went through for years and years. I mean, I just knew I was going to be delivered and stop using 20 years ago. You couldn't tell me when I was in Teen Challenge, Center for Drug-Free Living, Salvation Army, the whole, what is it called? The Recovery House, Hope of Recovery, and about 10 more.
Okay.
You could tell me I wasn't going to stop at that time. We don't understand the process. And then when they get out of these programs, the pressure that's applied to them, it makes it difficult for people to actually counterattack. I don't know if I'm
No, go ahead. You're on the track.
Yes. So, I mean, people get out and they just start doing what they normally would do. But I believe if we were to get together like we're doing now, they got cancer awareness going hard. If we were to get together and put together an addiction awareness that's sounding alarm, like it's cool to be sober. Kids, it's cool to be sober.
Okay.
Straight up. It is cool to drink water all day. It's cool to get money all day, but let's be sober about it. Let's stay in our sound mind. If we can get that voice out there and let the community know that it is okay. Drugs is not the answer. You don't have to go to a party now getting high anymore. You don't have to drink anymore. If we can get our voice out there just as loud as the drug stores on the corner store, the alcohol in every corner store, you got dope in the old dope man's pocket, but I got a bottle of water in my hand stating that, man, it's okay to be sober. Okay. You know what I mean? We get this voice out there, people, especially with the little kids, we can probably prevent a lot of relapse. We can probably prevent the addiction from prolonging and carrying on strong as it is, because we know that most crimes are as a result of drug related, or people can't even get their mind right because they have more addictions than just substance abuse. They have personal issues, addicted to something. That's another discussion.
Okay.
But you know, if we can just press forward with our campaign,
Right.
I believe that there will be some changes, and then there will be an understanding on the battle between what's it called, the beer commercials and you know, people getting high on Molly's. They making music about that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But so if we put together a campaign that's going to counterattack all of that, no, it's okay to be sober, I believe we'll get somewhere. Because you got a lot of people studying. It's a brain disease.
Exactly.
Oh, man, it's a physical allergy. Oh, man, you know the devil got you wrapped up. That's all you're talking about. But see, I had to go through all of these different categories and understand them and realize I just didn't want to be a part of that anymore. And it's cool to be sober now. It's cool to be pure. It's cool to talk, have a normal conversation without, you know, I mean, using profanity, and it's cool to wake up in the morning instead of drinking, and it's cool to work instead of robbing, stuff like that.
Exactly.
If we put the pressure on what's going on in the world, if we put the pressure on them targeting us or our children, I believe we'll get somewhere. Okay. Well, you got a lot of people
who are just not there. One of the things that I want to say, since Ron is telling it like it is, and that's one of the things about the Journey 2020, is that we try as best as we can to keep it real.
That's right.
That is absolutely critical. One of the things I want to, Ron, again, with what you said, also let people know as part of that campaign that you talked about, tomorrow morning in Barnett Park here in Orlando,
yes,
we will be having our 7th recovery walk and run. We are going to be getting about, we believe, 400 or more folks up at 7 o'clock in the morning, with runners running 5 kilometers at 7:30, and walkers walking 3 kilometers. And the reason that they're walking is just the thing that Ron is talking about, and that is trying to get the message out. That, Ron, as you said, sober is being cool.
Sober is cool.
Sober, you know, is being able to communicate, to be able to be an asset to the community instead of a liability. And so we would encourage you, and if this sounds like a commercial for the walk and run, it is, to come on out tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock here in Orlando. If you're not in Orlando, there are a number of other recovery events that are going on around the country. This is really a national effort. But join us if you're anywhere in Central Florida. It's free. We'll also have food and coffee and donuts and bagels and all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to have some good entertainment. Because the other thing that we want you to know, that recovery is not all boring, doom, gloom, sitting in rooms, going to meetings, you know, and telling your recovery story, but that it's the ability to have fun, you know, without chemicals, you know, in your body, with a bunch of folks that also, you know, will remember you after the event, you know,
yes,
and remember what they did, and you'll remember what you did, etc. And a way of sending a message to our young people, because we're going to have a lot of families out there tomorrow, young people who are the friends of individuals in recovery, the children of individuals, you know, in recovery, and kids who want to know more about, you know, what's happening as far as alcohol and drugs. So again, come on out. But I want to continue on in our dialogue here tonight, and to also talk about. Many people believe that you have to hit absolute bottom, you know, or Susan, I'm going to use the HIV example also, that you have to have your CD4 count hitting, you know, down to what is it, 50, before you can really get the person interested, or doing something about, their particular disease, substance abuse, HIV, or other addictions. I want you just, anybody to comment on that.
Sure. That's a myth that there's a rock bottom and that you have to hit it. People talk about it a lot, and it's kind of something that automatically comes out of folks' mouth. But I think if you really look at what folks are going through, and I've had, a number of years to be able to, hear people story like Ron and to see, where they come from and where they're going. And it's not about waiting until you're at the rock bottom and then deciding this is the rock bottom and then going, okay, today I'm going to do something different. It's really, this isn't quantifiable. You can't really know when that change is going to happen or what that change is because it's different for everyone, except that it can come. And when something changes inside of you and you know that, that's when you hang on to it. And I think that's a lot of what you've been describing tonight, Ron, is that you just knew it was your time and there was a strength inside of you that you had never felt before, whatever, because I think it really is unexplainable. I know that you're celebrating it and I can feel the energy on this side of the couch with you doing that. And I feel that way with all of our clients who have experienced that as well. But there's just a time when you're going from that dark place in your life of drugs and you're not experiencing any of life because drugs win. Drugs always win. And as soon as you can get a handle on that, whatever that means for you, and make those changes, it can be baby steps. There can be some changes that go forward, and then, that's recovery. And then there can be some relapse and moving forward again. Everybody's journey is different. It's a lifelong journey, and it's something that it's about making yourself become more a part of the world, engaged in the world, embodiment of reality rather than living off in some experience that drugs induce but isn't real at all. And when you feel that, there may be some pain associated with it, but it's not like that pain of drugs. It's not like the pain of being in jail and being homeless and sick and hungry and lonely and desperate. That's pain. But the pain of living a genuine life, like you've been talking about, I think is much less. And I would just maybe not want to speak for anybody saying that, but but it is an incredible journey in life, and I just feel like we're all on some kind of journey ourselves, and I haven't come from that kind of depth. I've come from my own stuff in life, not drugs and alcohol, but just life of certain things, and like I said, I think we all have, and we all agree with that we're on some kind of journey in trying to feel in touch with ourselves inside. But whatever it takes to get there, that's the key, is that there's a point in our life when we grab hold of it. And I can tell you when I did that, and you've talked about that too, and Dr. Murray here, sounds like you've been on that track for a long time. You went to medical school.
Exactly.
Wow.
All my life I've been a student.
There you go.
And
I thought so.
And I will continue.
Good for you. We need people
make
like
you
you,
better.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you got deep on the topic of these different attributes that people actually go through. When you're lonely, you suffer. When you're out there sweating all day trying to hustle to actually get what you need to satisfy that little piece of 20-second moment. That's all you're gonna get. 20-second moment. Whether it's alcohol, I don't care. That's all you're gonna get. But wanting and needing was eating me up. I was tired of wanting, needing. I mean, it was just a process that I had to understand. I didn't want to be a part of anymore. I got tired of the process. I got tired of going to rehabs. I got tired of going to jail, being locked up. I got tired of running away from the police. I got tired of just not being around my family, lonely. Oh my goodness. That's why I will celebrate tomorrow.
All right.
I will celebrate that. It's good to be amongst the living. It's good to be sober.
Okay. One of the things that I wanted to share also, and Ron, you triggered that thought, and that is I had a very good friend of mine who was happened to be from the islands, and who had worked as a printer for many, many years. Okay, he worked and at times had a six-figure salary. Didn't miss too many days from work. Thought that he was a pretty good father because he'd bring the money home, and that he would have his bottle over at the side, and after he'd come in Friday night, he'd disappear, and he'd more or less reappear, you know, on Monday morning, okay? And folks in the community around and talked to some of the folks, said, well, you know, he's a nice guy. He doesn't bother anybody, okay? And this is the other picture of alcohol and drugs. And so, but you hit on something really important. At one point, this gentleman drove home, was in New York, didn't know how he got home, looked at his car, saw that he had been in some kind of a traffic accident where there was actually blood on the car, okay? That there was blood on his clothes, and in the morning he just could not remember anything. And Ron, it sounds like my friend did similar to what you did, and that is he took a look in the mirror.
Took a look in the mirror. Okay.
And he didn't like what he saw. And he broke down crying, and in the depth of his despair, called, for him it was AA. And they told him, say, you know, just show up. You know, just show up. And he showed up. Again, I'd like you to make a long story short. He later went on in life. We got into recovery, got training as a counselor, and I had the privilege of having him work with me for almost 10 years as one of the best counselors in an alcohol and drug rehab that I ran in upstate New York. So what Susan mentioned earlier of hope, Ron, what you mentioned, you know, in terms of looking in the mirror, what Dr. Murray mentioned in terms of the involvement of family, the community, and the healthcare provider, you know, who reaches out to that individual who wants and needs the help. Those are the things that will make the difference. And I'd like to, if we will, we all usually have a spiritual bent to our program, and I'd like to see if
30 seconds.
Okay, if Ron, would you like to just say a spiritual word in closing us out?
Well, change is possible. Hope is there. You gotta dig deep within inside yourself, as my pastor would say. So if a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We continue to do the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So in my recovery, that word contributed to my change, to my life-changing experience. So, you know, Scripture tells you out of the heart comes the issues of life. So I believe it starts with the person that's in the mirror.
Okay.
If you can dig deep inside yourself and bring out the best in you, and then that piece of life, you gotta taste it, because you ain't gonna reach for nothing that you can't taste or feel. But if you can just grab hold to it, just taste it just a little bit, you'll see some change. You will see some change. You know what I mean? Let's change the way we think. Let's change the way we make our approach. Let's change the way we see treatment. As a voice in the streets, drug dealers want to change. They don't want to do what they're doing. And there's a cry out there for help, but only us that actually experienced it. Not that the professionals don't know. They are professionals, they know, but we know that they're crying for some deliverance and some help, and that comes from us. So,
And with that, we're going to have to call this part of our journey to a close. Family, it has been good sharing with you. To our panel, I give each one of you the ultimate compliments of, your message being a deep, profound, and important one. And with that, the journey continues, and the journey is from me to you and from me to you. Good night, blessings, and hope.